The year was 1845, a pivotal moment in American history. America, a young nation, felt a pull westward, towards the vast, uncharted territories that lay beyond the horizon. This pull wasn't just about land, it was about a vision, a dream of endless possibilities and new beginnings. It was about an idea, manifest destiny. This idea was more than a mere concept. It was a belief that shaped the nation's identity. This idea said America was special, destined for greatness. It was a nation chosen by Providence. It was chosen to spread across the continent, to bring its values and way of life to new lands. From the Atlantic to the Pacific, the vision was clear. America's destiny was to be one large, powerful nation united under a common purpose. John O'Sullivan, a newspaperman, gave this idea a name. He articulated what many felt but couldn't express. He wrote about America's manifest destiny to overspread the continent, capturing the spirit of the age. He believed this expansion was righteous and inevitable, a divine right and duty. This belief, fueled by a sense of superiority, took root in the hearts of many Americans, driving them forward. The idea of manifest destiny wasn't just about expansion, it was about the very essence of what America stood for. It was about what America stood for. It stood for freedom, democracy, and opportunity. It stood for freedom, democracy, and opportunity. These were the ideals that many Americans cherished deeply. At least that's what many Americans believed. They saw themselves as bearers of a noble mission. They felt it was their duty to spread these ideals westward, to bring civilization to the frontier. The problem was, the West wasn't empty. It was already home to Native American tribes who had lived there for centuries. It was already home to Native American tribes who had lived there for centuries. Their rich cultures and histories were deeply rooted in the land. The idea of manifest destiny was powerful. It was a driving force that shaped the nation's course. It ignited the American spirit and fueled their westward journey, pushing them to explore and settle new territories. But it also carried a dark side. The pursuit of this destiny often led to tragic consequences. It justified taking land from others and led to conflict and displacement. The impact on Native American communities was profound and lasting. Why did Americans pack their wagons and head west? What drove them to leave behind everything they knew and venture into the unknown? For many, it was a chance for a fresh start. The promise of new beginnings was a powerful draw. The East Coast was crowded, land was expensive, and jobs were scarce. Cities were bustling, but opportunities were limited. The West promised cheap land, gold in the hills, and a chance to make a fortune. Stories of striking it rich spread like wildfire. Farmers squeezed out of the East dreamt of fertile land. They envisioned vast fields where they could grow crops and raise livestock. They heard stories of vast prairies and valleys ripe for farming. The land seemed to offer endless possibilities. They imagined building homesteads and raising families on their own land. The dream of owning property was within reach. The lure of cheap land was a powerful motivator. Land auctions and government grants made it accessible to many. For others, the West meant adventure. The call of the unknown was irresistible. It was a wild, untamed land full of opportunity and danger. The thrill of exploration beckoned to the brave. Mountain men told tales of trapping beavers and trading furs. Their stories painted a picture of rugged independence. They spoke of encounters with Native American tribes and the challenges of surviving in the wilderness. The frontier was a place of constant learning and adaptation. But it wasn't just about land or adventure. The motivations were as diverse as the people themselves. For some, moving west was a moral mission. They felt a calling to spread their beliefs and values. They believed in spreading American ideals of freedom and democracy. The West was seen as a blank canvas for these ideals. They saw the West as a place where they could build a better society, free from the constraints of the East. It was a land of hope and new beginnings. Word spread like wildfire. The news of newfound wealth and opportunity traveled quickly across the nation. Gold. It was discovered in California in 1848. The gold rush began, igniting dreams of fortune. People from all walks of life left everything behind. They sold their homes, quit their jobs, and embarked on a perilous journey. They dreamt of striking it rich. The promise of gold was irresistible, a chance to change their lives forever. They imagined a life of wealth and comfort. Visions of grand homes and luxurious living filled their minds. The discovery of gold wasn't the only allure. The vast open landscapes promised new beginnings. The West offered a chance for freedom. It was a place where one could start anew, away from the constraints of the East. For many, it meant escaping religious persecution. They sought a land where they could worship freely. They could practice their faith freely, without fear or prejudice. The West was a sanctuary for their beliefs. In the vast expanse of the West, they could build communities based on their own beliefs. It was a chance to create a society from scratch. For others, freedom meant escaping slavery. The West was a beacon of hope for those seeking liberation. The West represented a beacon of hope for African Americans seeking a life without chains. It was a land of potential and promise. Though slavery existed in some Western territories, the hope of freedom drew many westward on the Underground Railroad. The West promised opportunity and a fresh start. It was a land where hard work and determination could lead to success. The fertile soil and open spaces were ripe for cultivation. It was a place where social barriers were more fluid, and individuals could reinvent themselves. The West was a melting pot of cultures and backgrounds. The dream of a better life drew people from all over the world to America's shores and westward into the unknown. The The West was a land of dreams and endless possibilities. Section 4. Pioneers and Pathfinders, Key Figures of Expansion. The westward expansion was a story of countless individuals, pioneers, settlers, explorers, and dreamers. They braved hardship and danger to forge a new life in the West. Their stories are woven into the fabric of American history. One such figure was John Fremont. An explorer and soldier, he mapped much of the West. His expeditions opened up new trails and fueled the desire for westward expansion. His reports of fertile valleys and abundant resources enticed settlers to head west. Then there was Brigham Young, the leader of the Mormons. Facing persecution in the East, he led his followers on an arduous journey to Utah. They transformed the desert into a thriving community, demonstrating the resilience and determination of the pioneers. There were countless others. Women, often overlooked in history books, played a vital role in settling the West. They endured hardship, raised families, and contributed to their communities. They were the backbone of westward expansion. Section 5. Clashes and Conflicts. The Price of Expansion. The westward expansion was not a peaceful march, it came at a cost. The land Americans sought was already inhabited. Native American tribes had lived there for centuries. They had their own cultures, languages, and ways of life. The arrival of settlers disrupted their lives, treaties were broken, land was stolen, and Native Americans were forced onto reservations. The Trail of Tears, a forced relocation of Cherokee Indians, stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of expansion. Conflicts arose not just with Native Americans, but also with other nations. Mexico, which controlled much of the Southwest, resisted American encroachment. The Mexican-American War, from 1846 to 1848, resulted in a massive land grab by the United States, further fueling westward expansion. The issue of slavery also fueled conflict. As new territories were acquired, the question arose whether they would be slave or free. This debate intensified sectional tensions and ultimately led to the Civil War. Section 6. A Transformed Nation, The Impact of Manifest Destiny. Manifest Destiny left an indelible mark on America. It reshaped the nation, both physically and ideologically. The United States expanded from coast to coast, fulfilling the dream of a continental nation. The acquisition of new territories brought vast resources under American control. Gold, silver, timber, and fertile land fueled economic growth and industrial development. The Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869, connected the East and West, facilitating trade and communication. The westward expansion led to the displacement and destruction of Native American cultures. Their lands were confiscated, their treaties were broken, and their way of life was disrupted. The legacy of this injustice continues to cast a shadow on American history. The expansion also intensified the debate over slavery, ultimately leading to the Civil War. The question of whether new territories would be slave or free divided the nation and set the stage for one of the darkest chapters in American history. Section 7. Manifest Destiny's Echo Its Legacy in America. The legacy of Manifest Destiny is complex and multifaceted. It is a story of ambition, opportunity, conflict, and injustice. It is a story that continues to shape America's identity and its place in the world. On the one hand, Manifest Destiny represents the spirit of American exceptionalism, the belief that the United States has a unique destiny to fulfill. This belief continues to influence American foreign policy and its role as a global superpower. On the other hand, Manifest Destiny serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the importance of recognizing the rights of all people. It reminds us that the pursuit of national interest should not come at the expense of others. As we grapple with the legacy of westward expansion, we must acknowledge both the achievements and the injustices of the past. Only then can we fully understand the complexities of American history and work towards a more just and equitable future.